All right, what is up, you beautiful people, and welcome back to the Hub Podcast, a place where you can connect with the local GTA community and where you can meet regular and real folks like us with ideas and experiences to share. We're just regular people trying to make it bigger. My name is Ivan, and my co-host and question master is my good friend Ed. Today, we have on a special guest, Jason. Jason is a 27-year-old living in the GTA. He works in student finance for a private university. He makes around $60K a year, and despite not being a six-figure earner, he has managed to own a property and get into real estate. He's here with us today to share how he's been able to achieve this.
All right, so Jason, first of all, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
The reason why Jason's here is because, for those who live in the GTA, almost 47% of young adults in the city are living in the same household as at least one parent. Young adults are described as anywhere between the ages of 20 and 34 years old. And real estate is regarded as a great investment because of the leverage of the down payment. For those who don't know, you typically only need to put in 20% to own a property. The mortgage and maintenance fees can be covered by your tenant. And then by the time you sell the property, you essentially make back 5 times your initial investment. So that's 5 times leverage, right? And with capital gains, you're only taxed on 50% of the appreciation. So Jason's here with us today to hopefully, share with us his wisdom and his experience with being a real estate owner. The first question I have is as a 27-year-old, did you ever think you could ever own a house at your age?
Honestly, no. I didn't think that real estate was even an option for me, especially for someone who isn't making like 6 figures or like an absurd amount of money to myself, at least. It wasn't a thought. And to be able to do it and kind of somewhat be successful with it and make it work, I was actually very shocked myself.
So do you own a place in the GTA? Is it outside the GTA? The housing market here, for everybody that knows, is crazy expensive, right?
Gotcha. Yeah. So my house essentially is not in the GTA. It is quite far. It is located somewhere in Chatham, Ontario. Mm-hmm. It's more like west. So if you took the 401 west and you kept driving, eventually you would hit Chatham, and that is where my property is, and that's where I rent it out.
It's near Windsor, right?
It is. It's just past Windsor. Yeah.
All right. Cool. So, can you reveal some of the numbers? If you don't mind sharing, how much did you put down? How much do you charge in rent? What are the maintenance fees like?
Yeah, for sure. So the property, I got it for $290,000, and I did put in the typical 20%. So my down payment for it was $58,000. And then I guess my closing fees, as well as other things that I had to pay for before getting it up and running, was, let me take a look. I think it was about an extra $5,000 to $6,000, and that includes your legal fees, making sure that the place is up and running correctly, everything works. I also did buy new appliances like a fridge, stove, as well as washer dryer, and everything together was just about under $65,000.
Wow, 65,000. That's insane. Okay, so to put things into perspective, I have a condo in the GTA. It's only a 2-bedroom. It's only 900 square feet, and closing costs, everything included, it was almost $700,000. So, this is definitely piquing my interest. So you currently have a tenant, I imagine?
Yes. So it's a single detached house. So It's 3 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, and I do have a tenant. So I have a family in there, and the rent is at this stage $1,975. So that's every month.
See, that's actually pretty good. I mean, that's about a slightly less than a 1-bedroom, I guess, in downtown Toronto. I think a 1-bedroom on average,
I think it's around that much.
2,200-3,300.
Yeah, it's very affordable.
For a house. 3 bed, holy crap, 3-bedroom, a whole family lives in there, and they're paying less than $2,000. So, I mean, it doesn't sound a lot, I guess, to GTA people, but So, what's like your net profit every month? What are you left over with?
So basically what I do is I calculate my numbers by taking in the factor of my mortgage payment I always put in 15% of my rent, and I set that aside as well, just for other fees that's going to happen, such as maintenance, repairs, and stuff. And
It's
then
like an emergency fund.
exactly, I'm building
Okay.
that up. My other fees include insurance and just things here and there. Like I have insurance plans as well to make sure that if something goes wrong, my tenant can also call this plumber to make sure everything's fine, and I have that going on. So essentially, what I'm left over with, if everything was going smoothly, is about $700 a month in profit after accounting for 15%
that's
of
really,
everything.
really, really good. Okay, so for those that might be interested, can you break down some of the other fees? So like, what are your mortgage payments like, for example?
Right. So I guess I'll kind of go over numbers from when I first started, just because my mortgage payment is it's very different right now from what it used to be.
Oh, you're on a variable.
Exactly. So
Uh-oh.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So we're kind of, all the investors here who are not on a fixed term are all feeling it. So my numbers beforehand was, my mortgage payment was about $800 a month, and that was a 30-year mortgage. And then
Sorry, can we just go by like the interest rate so that we can keep things general?
sure.
So so sorry, when did you close? First of all, what year was it?
It was September last year, 2021.
Oh, okay, wow. Okay. And at that time, what was
The
your interest rate?
The interest rate was 1.45.
Jeez. Okay, that's very attractive. Okay. And now, as everybody knows, so what? It's basically November 2022 now.
Yep.
And what's the interest rate today?
We're looking at least 4 point something. I haven't even checked recently.
Ouch. So almost 3 times more.
Yes.
Ouch. Okay. So what does that translate to? So you were paying $800 a month at the beginning, and,
Yeah.
and how much are you paying now?
Right now, you kind of have the option of upping your mortgage payments to match it, so it kind of still works out. So end of the 30 years, you're good to go.
Okay.
Or if you don't have that cash flow, you can just pay off interest for people who just really don't have that extra cash flow coming in from their properties. So right now, it's about an extra $400 a month.
So that's $1,200.
That's about $1,200 to make sure that everything's working
Okay,
out.
so you're still getting $700 in profits even now.
No. So
Oh.
that was the original numbers. So now we're looking at about $300 in profit.
Still not bad. Still not bad. I mean, like 4 point something percent interest rate is crazy high. So yeah, that's still not bad. Like, at least you're still making money. Okay, cool. So yeah, so that's just mortgage. So then what about things like, property tax in Chatham? Is it much lower than Toronto as well? I would imagine yes.
You better believe it.
Yeah.
So GTA people are going to be they're about to be very angry.
Okay.
So the tax per year that I pay for property tax is just about $1,300
Per year.
for the whole year. So actually it's closer to 12. So you're looking about $100 a month.
Oh, just to remind people, so do you approximately know the square footage? Because yeah, like it's a 3-bedroom, 1 bath, I know, but yeah, do you know the square footage?
I honestly don't really remember.
Okay.
Maybe 1,400, 1,500. I'm not too sure. There's
Okay.
2 bedrooms upstairs and a main floor with 1 bedroom in there as well.
Is there a basement?
No basement. There's a full backyard, garage, driveway.
What like for reference, like benchmark, what would a GTA price for something like that be around? Because I'm not familiar with that either.
Okay, so even a townhouse, guys, and I'm not even talking single detached, like a townhouse, I think going around even where I live, which is North York, is around $1 million to 1.1, 1.2 million for a 1,500 square foot townhouse.
Right.
Yeah.
But for property taxes too. What would that
Oh, geez, I think on average $5,000 to $6,000.
A year.
Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah.
3-4 times.
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it makes sense, right? I mean, to be honest with you guys, I've never even heard of Chatham before I met Jason. So
Yeah.
there you go.
I didn't know there was a town called Chatham that existed.
Oh yeah. So okay. By the way, that does remind me. So is it difficult to find a tenant in Chatham or yeah?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
So you've got essentially 2 routes to go about it. You can go to a agency like Realtor and just have them find your tenant, and they'll do the whole process. You pay them on average maybe a month's rent, and that's their kind of commission. and you're basically set.
That's right.
But the option that I went with was I wanted to do it myself because I wanted to learn everything as much as possible, especially it was my first one.
Yeah.
So I actually had a whole process, and not to get too into it, it was a Google form, a big survey. I got all their information. I met with people, and I chose who I felt most connected with / would be the safest to go with.
Okay, that's interesting. Can you go into a little bit more detail of how you learned all about this? Like, where did you even hear about Chatham? Like,
yeah, for sure. I guess I can go back to how I was interested in real estate in the first place.
Sure.
Yeah,
Let's start from the beginning.
So essentially, I was reading an article about, I believe his name is Austin Ye, and it's an article about him, someone who is also around like mid-20s, average, lives with his parents, and he actually became pretty successful with real estate by being smart and investing. So I read an article and I was like, hey, this guy's similar background to me, similar age, and it kind of piqued my interest. So the moment that happened, I hit up a few of my friends. I was like, guys, have you looked into this before? And coincidentally, they're like, yeah, we've kind of seen this article around too, and we're kind of interested. So we got a group going, and we kind of just did our research and shared our information with each other. And yeah, we kind of took it from there. So the person that I actually owe this all to is one of my friends. I won't throw his name out there, but essentially he went ahead and found this Chatham area, and he now has, I think, 5 properties there. So he's got 5 houses.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, and he's even younger than I am by, I think, 1 or 2 years. Very successful guy, super smart. And while he was acquiring his 3rd property, that's around the time that I kind of joined in and got interested.
Okay.
And I just got a lot of knowledge from him. So I kind of had a cheat sheet, but in the form of a human being, where if I needed something, I just kind of asked him, and he kind of gave me all that information.
Was this friend that you just talked about, like, did you just meet him by chance, or like did you meet him because of your interest in real estate?
No, this is someone I've known for years.
This is someone
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, I guess if he's owning the same type of property as you are, he was making what, $3,500 a month from his 5 times 7, $3,500 a month.
About that, yeah, for sure.
And then I guess each of them were about $60,000 down payment as well.
His were actually more expensive.
Okay.
So yeah,
So where did he get the cash to afford all this?
He's not like myself. He actually does make quite a lot more money.
Okay.
So he's in that 6-figure income level.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
High 6 figures or?
No.
No. Okay. So still like probably the average GTA kind of young professional.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, like, you're not even, I guess, one of the early birds that discovered Chatham then. And yeah,
it's a hot place, I guess, because the rental market, if anyone does any research, just Googling it or even searching on YouTube, to be honest, you will find Chatham popping up here and there. And to be quite frank, the rental market there is very hot. So there's always people looking to rent. Don't ask me reasons why. I really can't answer. But there's always people looking to rent. I put up an application on Facebook as well as Kijiji.
Okay.
And that was the way that I went about it. And usually people just do one or the other, but I wanted to do both. So I did that and got at least 20 replies and around 15 people who actually submitted full applications. And my application process was very long and tedious.
I see. So would you say that even now it's not too late to get into the Chatham market?
Absolutely not. If anyone has the cash available, now would actually be a pretty good time, to be honest. Only downfall is the interest rates at this point.
Right, the mortgage.
But if we look at history, they will go back down.
I mean, but then again, I mean, 65,000, even 4% interest for a GTA person is relatively affordable, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Interesting. So, is like the rental process to screen out tenants in Chatham as rigorous as it is here in Toronto? Because I know that in Toronto, it's actually extremely competitive to even get a rental property. Or sorry, not to be a tenant, I mean. So like, yeah, can you go through some of like the the criteria that you're looking for in a tenant?
Yeah, so I can't really comment on how different it is between Chatham and Toronto, and the only reason why is because I don't have much experience with Toronto itself or the GTA. I do have friends who have been looking very recently, actually, and to my knowledge, most of them have been paying at least 6 months upfront, a year upfront of rent.
Wow.
Yeah, and we're talking about Toronto prices of what, $3,000 a month for a two-bedroom.
Yeah, true.
It's a lot of money, and to me, that's absurd. That's like
That's
what,
18,000 just dropped all at once to
for
rent.
just 6 months.
That's a third of a property in Chatham.
Exactly.
A third of a property in Chatham.
Yeah, so for myself, what I did was I created a Google form, and it was kind of like a survey, and they basically filled out general information like, hey, how many people are going to be living here? Do you have any type of pets? Do you smoke? What's your occupation? How much money do you make? If you have a co-applicant, how much money do they make? I check their credit score. I check their banking information. I look for references as well. And other minor details, but the main things is that. And if they pass off all that, then I do reach out to the ones that I was kind of interested in, and I'll shoot them a text or I'll give them a call and just have a phone interview with them, just to get the vibe, because I want to make sure that we match. And if we do, I invite them to kind of come to the property itself. We meet, and yeah, we went from there, and I chose the one person that is there now.
Yeah, I mean, Ivan, like I came from Montreal here 3 years ago, and yeah, we rented for the first year, and it was not easy. Like I was amazed by how difficult it was. Yeah, like yeah, it was like I was like applying to like a CIA job or something, man. It's like full friggin' background checks. Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, I guess like landlords do want to make sure that they can get that consistency.
Exactly. Very interesting. Sorry, before I keep going, do you have any questions, Ivan?
Honestly, I think all of this is. I think I'm speaking for the average viewer here. I think this is all very informative to me.
Yeah.
And I don't think I can ask a question in a subject that I don't know enough about
Great.
myself.
Okay.
You know?
Awesome.
So I think I am the foil for the viewer right now. I'm in awe listening to all of this.
In awe. Okay. Cool. Yeah. So, speaking about like tenants and like I guess the nightmare scenario where, you actually do have a shitty tenant. Like I've heard that in Ontario at least, there's like really like the tenant laws really protect them. So even if they don't pay rent and are late, there's not much you can do. Is that true?
That is very true. Yeah, so it's something called the LTB, Landlord Tenant Board. And if your tenant is, I guess, very smart in a sense and really knows their rights as a tenant, they can kind of play the system and make sure that they don't have to pay rent and still kind of get away with it. I'm not saying people actually do that just to do that.
No, for sure.
But no, that board does protect tenants. And I think it's a very good thing to have, because you want to make sure that, people are protected, and
For sure.
they're the ones at risk, right? So yeah, but that is true. I do have some, not really nightmares, but perhaps some kind of stories or issues that I've dealt with that we can probably go over.
Yeah, no, I'd love to hear like some of the pitfalls and maybe some of the challenges that, I don't know, a potential landlord might not even know about. Can you share some of that?
For sure, yeah. So the most recent thing that I've been dealing with was very recently. My tenant texted me and was like, "Hey, I hate to bother you, but there's a leak and the ceiling is dripping water."
Oh my
and
God.
for someone who's got a property so far away and living in GTA, that's the last thing you want to hear, because it stresses you out. As experienced as you are, not that I'm experienced, but I'm sure even with more experience, hearing that freaks you out, because you can't physically be there in maybe 20-30 minutes. I'm talking about like a 3.5 hour to 4 hour drive if I were to make it
I was
up.
just going to ask you about that. Yeah, for those who are unfamiliar with Chatham, yeah, it's quite far from GTA. Eh? It's 3-4 hour drive.
Yeah,
Okay.
to go into that, my journey of getting this property, I was very focused the summer of 2021, and I was very adamant of finding a place, and I actually went there probably 4, 5, or 6 weekends in a row, and it was about 7 to 8 hours of driving a day
Holy.
each weekend, just to kind of view properties myself and make sure that I could submit some good offers. But yeah, the main problem was I had something was leaking, and we determined it was a roof issue. And right now I'm pretty much paying upwards of $3,000 just to get that portion of the roof replaced and fixed, and that actually was completed this morning, coincidentally.
Okay, so so again, you were talking earlier about, you know, you leave aside 15% of your profits for emergencies such as this.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes. So yeah, you got to be prepared, and as much as it hurts, how I view it is not that, oh, I'm now losing, I don't know, $3,000 for this, or I'm now paying a plumber $250 to fix this for me. I think of it more as, all right, these are the fees, and this portion of, I guess, the profit is not mine. That's how I view it. I set it aside in a different account, and when things happen, it is what it is, and I have to be okay and just let that go, because out of nowhere, $3,000, yeah, that hurts. But if you have the mindset of, okay, I've kind of set aside money for this, I've been prepared for this, then it's not the worst case scenario.
I mean, okay, so again, to put things into perspective, like a condo, there's things called condo fees, which is supposed to cover, you know, maintenance and, you know, potential damages to the common areas. So for me, even my 900 square foot condo, I'm paying $715 a month.
A month.
A month.
Wow.
And that's just to cover, you know, things like the upkeep. So, I mean, I guess $3,000 to fix a roof, honestly, is not that bad.
Yes, the portion of the roof. I'll make sure to say that.
Yeah,
so
true,
not the
true.
yeah.
Not the whole roof. Yeah. Because I mean, per year, I'm already paying about nine.
Yeah, almost 9,000.
Yeah, 9,000. Yeah. So yeah, that's very interesting.
I think you just gotta see it as like a product upkeep, right? The
Yeah.
product is the house, and if you don't upkeep it, you can't sell it. Or like, you know, rent it out in that sense, right?
Exactly. And all the money you're kind of putting into it, it does benefit you at the end of the day, especially if you're playing that long-term game of appreciation and looking to sell this property at someday. So it's something to keep in mind. And I think something that was very helpful for me was I got really tight with my realtor. He and I were similar age, and I just got really lucky with meeting someone that I really connected with, and I really put a lot of trust into, and who till this day will still message me here and there just to give me updates and ask how I'm doing, and we'll just chat. And whenever I have any issues, whether that's like, hey, it's a plumbing thing, or hey, something's wrong and my tenant doesn't know what it is, I'll always reach out to him. I'll send him a message and be like, hey, do you have someone in your system, in your network, that does this and that? And it's similar for the roof thing, because for this roof thing, I messaged him early on, and he did give me the company that he recommended.
Gotcha.
But it's a very reputable company, and they do charge more than, I guess, someone that you could probably find to do the job. So my mistake that I'm probably not going to do anymore is I actually found someone on my own, like an independent contractor. And the worst case scenario happened where I was in talks with him. He came, he took a look, and then he gave me a quote. And I kept talking to him for a few days. And by the time I was ready to choose which shingles you wanted and the colors, he just ghosted me.
Oh my
God. It was out of nowhere. He messaged and everything was fine up until he sent me the samples. And then he just didn't message me again. He wouldn't pick up my calls.
Yeah.
He would send my calls to voicemail after 2 rings and didn't return any voicemails. And for me, it was never... like, we never had a bad vibe. It was always very pleasant and very polite with people. And yeah, it's just, that's the worst case scenario that you do here, and be prepared if that does happen to you. So what I would say is make sure to find people who are reputable and have good references, because this is, I guess, the example for me, and it is a lesson for me. It's, I wasted a bit of time here.
So just to clarify, this independent contractor was not your real estate agent's choice.
You got it. Yeah. So
you went on your own and
exactly. I was like, hey,
okay,
let me see if I can get this for a little cheaper.
Yeah.
And I did get burned for, not that I really lost any money on it, but
just
it's
time,
yeah, like
stress,
it's extra time, extra stress, and kind of just a few days of, hey, what do I do at this point? Do I look for someone else?
How did you meet your real estate agent? I imagine he's local to Chatham.
He is. Okay. He lives in Chatham. Him and his family actually have been they have a big team out there.
Okay.
And I actually searched up Chatham on YouTube, to be honest.
Okay.
And there was a video where they were actually featured on one of the like bigger Canadian real estate channels. I don't remember the name at this point, so I do apologize for not being able to credit it. But I searched them up, and they appeared as their special guests for that video. And he just seemed like a very honest person. I reached out and we connected. We met up, and I knew it was the right one. Like, it was just everything about him was solid.
That's amazing.
And even when I wanted to overpay, over offer for something, he would actually be like, "Don't do it."
Wow.
Like, hey, even though he'll make more money if I
Yeah.
pay extra, he'll be like, "Hey, that's too much. Don't do that."
And yeah, so for those who don't know, so the way he gets paid is if he finds you a tenant and the deal is closed, he gets 1 month's rent?
No, so it's if he finds me a house and I submit an offer and the offer gets accepted, he gets paid by the seller. So he makes
Gotcha.
commission. Yeah, so the
Oh,
more
sorry. I thought he helped you find tenants, but you find your own tenants.
I found my own tenant for
Gotcha.
this one. Yeah, he's the realtor that helped me out a year ago to close this
To
deal.
find the actual
Yeah.
property. I see. Got you. So, okay. Yeah, no, very interesting. So yeah, the importance of, I guess, like finding a local network of professionals like plumbers, independent contractors, that is obviously very important. Can you share some more wisdom on how about you go building this kind of network?
For sure. So a few things I did was I joined a Facebook group for this, I guess, Chatham network. And this Facebook group has a lot of contractors who are just, people, handymen looking for jobs to do. And they have experience and people will refer them. So if I have a problem sometimes, I'll like a simple one, like, hey, does anyone have a plumber that's available right now because my guy that my realtor recommended is actually busy? I'll just type in a message there and you'll get like 20 responses with people who will like it or refer these people. So there's that way. And the other way is if you're lucky like myself and you know someone in the area like a investor, or if you're tight with your realtor like I am, then you can just borrow off of their people and their network, which is something that I do. But something that I think is actually beneficial that isn't talked about too much to my knowledge is insurance plans.
Okay.
Yeah, so Reliance, some people love them, some people hate them. They do have month-to-month insurance plans for different types of services, such as plumbing services, electrician services, heating services. So for investors who, let's say not Chatham, even if you're an investor or thinking of investing anywhere, right, and you're going to have tenants, if you don't have a network, that's not the worst case scenario because you can always just go to Reliance and pay them, $15, $20, $25 a month and subscribe to their plans. And that allows your tenant, who you're going to authorize as a authorized user or caller, to call them directly and be like, hey, I have a plumbing issue and it's going to be free of charge because you're paying $25 or $20 a month.
I never knew that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's a very affordable insurance plan. Like if something does go wrong, it's like just $20 to get fixed.
Yes.
Wow.
And is there any possibility that the contractors that Reliance sends would also ghost you, or they're all like super vetted or whatever?
To my knowledge, if you work for Reliance, you're licensed, you're vetted, they're kind of insured by Reliance's brand, right? So no, they won't really ghost you, and they're quite responsible.
So sorry though, to clarify, you don't use this service?
I do kind of.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is something that I'm kind of still debating on because I've subscribed to them for about a year now.
Okay.
And I have had minor like plumbing issues or stuff like that. But because Chatham is so far away, even Reliance, they don't have a big team out there. So they're kind of, let's say, contractor who does their work is responsible for a massive area in like the Western Ontario side.
Gotcha.
So if I have something that's actually very serious, like, hey, there's a big leak for this, I don't know, toilet or something or a faucet. I need this fixed right now. And even though I'm insured, they don't have, I guess, the guarantee that I'm going to send someone within 24 hours for you.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that. It's we'll schedule someone and we're going to see what their schedule is. And because it's Chatham, again, not close to big cities, it takes a little more time. So I'm kind of actually debating if I want to cancel these plans because I now do know of reliable plumbers, electricians.
That's right.
Yeah, and maybe I'll just, like you pay them $150 for this job, $200 for that job. I don't know, and things don't happen too often, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, something I'm kind of contemplating right now.
I feel like
Yes.
A lot of coverage. But like when you're out in like I guess like out in the boonies, it might be better to find people who are locally there. That's not
Well, I mean, it sounds like if your property is, old and, it does require a lot of maintenance, $15 to $25 a month doesn't sound like a big deal. And that covers it. Like if they need 10 plumbers, like it's a flat fee, right? Like you're not
Yeah.
paying more.
If in your 1 month and you have, let's say, 4 separate issues,
Yeah.
as long as these issues are included in the plan, right?
That's
like,
right.
okay, faucet leaking here
Yeah.
and then something else leaking there, and it's the plumbing plan. Yeah, they'll come and it's a flat fee, and
That's
you're not paying
amazing.
anything extra for that.
That's very interesting. Okay, so before we were talking about tenants. So I know that, every year landlords are entitled to raise the rent prices. So I'm wondering, as a landlord, is it better to keep the same tenant, or, not that you can control this, but is it better ideally to have a high turnover?
So I think there's pros and cons to both.
Okay.
So for myself, right now, I know my tenant is a long-term tenant. It's a family. They've got young children. They're settled in now, and they're in the school system. They made it very clear to me that they don't want to move. Like one of the questions the tenant asked me was, "Hey, what are your plans with this property? Because I know some people will invest here, and in 2 years or 3 years, and everything goes up, they sell, and I get forced to move again." And I told her, "Listen, that's not my personal plan. At least that's what I can say to you right now. I am here for kind of the long term." And yeah, so for this, I think if your tenant's here long term, every year you can raise their rent, but you can only raise it by what the Ontario government permits you to raise it. So for the year 2022, it's 1.2%.
Okay.
So we're looking at not that much,
Right.
essentially. It's like $20, $25. Yeah, you're looking at just under $25 for my personal case, right? So mine just went from 1950 to 1975.
Right.
A month.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but I do know I have another buddy who actually I introduced him to the Chatham area, and he actually got with my realtor, and he actually has his own property there now, but he's a little different where he actually has a condo in Markham.
Okay.
So his tenant actually just left, and this bump was huge. His tenant was paying about, I think it was $1,750 a month.
Okay.
And now he charges, I think it was $2,300 or $2,400, and that's
Wow.
because someone just left.
Right.
So it's a huge jump in price. If someone leaves, yes, you have the option as a landlord to up the price to whatever you want, as long as it makes sense for your market.
Yeah, the local market. Yeah. So I guess to summarize, like the pros are if you have a long-term tenant, at least you don't have the stress of, trying to find a new tenant
Yes.
and, potentially have a nightmare tenant. But the cons are that each year you can only raise the rent by what you said, like the government allowance.
Yeah, so this year's 1.2,
1.2%.
next year might be, I don't know, 2 point something. It's usually never higher than 2 point something. So
is the
yeah.
interest rate on the rent increase tied to also the bank borrow rate?
I'm not too sure, to
You're
be
not
very
too sure.
honest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah.
Interesting. I don't know. That's all the questions that I had for Jason. What about you, Ivan? You've been very quiet today.
Yeah, I know. I've kind of just let you do all the talking
Yeah.
today. Mostly because I want to do a lot of the listening about all
Fair.
this. Yeah. I don't think I really have anything else to add to it.
Do you think you're gonna get in the Chatham market there, Ivan?
Well, I still got to get to the dollar price amount. I got to save up for that.
Yeah.
But maybe we'll get there in a moment.
Oh, you know what? Okay, that reminds me. Maybe Jason could share some of his, just general advice on how to save money.
Wow, general advice on how to save money. I guess we can have a pandemic hit us so that you don't have options to spend any money. So I honestly think that actually did really help because you're just working. And at least for me, during the pandemic, I honestly I didn't spend much. And that's what it was. I saved almost everything I could save.
Absolutely.
And it really did help. I'm not very materialistic. Some people are, and hey, good for you. But I'm not. I don't really care about brand names. I care about setting myself up for the future.
Yep.
And in the future, when I really am set, that's when I'll go and buy, the nice brands that I like, or, the more higher class luxury items. But for now, main goal is just saving and be smart with money and don't splurge on things that you really don't need to.
Now, I probably should have asked this at the beginning, but do you mind disclosing like your current kind of living situation? Because you do live in the GTA, right?
Yeah, so I live in the GTA and I do live at home still. So that's something that's huge for saving. And I know that's not a luxury everyone has. And it really depends on your personal situation and how life is for you. But for me, I was very lucky, super lucky that I still live at home. I do, chip in for things every month, but I'm not paying anything even close to having to pay for like a 2-bedroom house. Or I got to start 2-bedroom condo in Toronto or GTA. So that really does help with saving as well.
So like you obviously seem very passionate about spreading this kind of knowledge and helping people. What about like your own family? Like, do you have any brothers and sisters?
Yeah, I do have a brother who lives downtown Toronto, and he does rent. And he rents a 1-bedroom downtown Toronto. He's actually in for a very good price.
Okay, great.
But yeah, he's not really into the whole real estate thing.
Okay,
It's just
so you
it's
haven't
not
been
for
able to
him.
convince him. Yeah.
No, it's not for him, and
Okay.
it's not his style, and I respect that. Yeah.
Does he prefer like investing his money in like the stock market or something like that? Does he play with crypto?
He doesn't know, but
okay.
so he's in a bit of stocks, your TFSA, your RSP, which I recommend everyone please get into that as soon as possible because the years compound. But no, he's more of a free spirit, and he might not settle in one place, and he might move around here and there, different countries. So he's not really into being a landlord and having to be responsible for that. He'll just park his money somewhere else.
Got you. I don't know. So, do you have any questions for us, man?
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you guys for having me on. I really enjoyed that first episode that you guys released, that pilot episode.
Oh, awesome.
When, especially that icebreaker that Ed brought up to Ivan, it kept me so intrigued.
Oh, the cube you're talking about.
Yes, the
Okay,
cube,
great.
because I was listening in and, seeing how you analyzed his answers. It was really neat, and I wish I followed along the whole time.
Yeah.
But I was listening to this podcast while I was doing something else, and I followed up until the actual imagine a cube now, and I just remember that my cube was glass. It was just a see-through
You're a transparent
glass.
guy, man.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah?
as much as I really remember. But
Hey, that makes sense. That's why you're sharing all these numbers. I mean, honestly, Jason, like most people probably wouldn't be comfortable sharing the details like you have. So like we really appreciate it. For those listening, like this is real advice, guys. This is a real guy. He's not giving you any bullshit numbers. This is the nitty gritty. So
Just a regular guy trying to make it big, right?
Exactly. Just, Call
Not
back
trying to
the
sell you
intro.
any product or anything, Just providing the
and
knowledge.
if anyone has ever any questions, to drop a comment on that YouTube channel, right? And to subscribe, huh?
Yeah. Do you want to like plug anything?
Absolutely not. But I want to plug the Hub. This podcast, which is amazing, and I believe this is going to be on different channels and also on YouTube. So if you guys have questions, maybe Ed and Ivan here will be kind enough to share those questions with me, and perhaps I can give them some answers.
Oh
and,
yeah, that'd be
reconnect
amazing.
there.
No, thank you. Yeah, guys, anything you guys want to ask? Yeah.
But yeah, shout out to Ed and Ivan here for being amazing hosts, and this podcast is honestly very intriguing, very interesting, and I hope it's going to be very helpful for people around the GTA who are just regular people like your intro, and we just want to move on to bigger and better things and improve our life, and that's very awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thanks for coming, man.
Thank you so much for sharing.